It is great to have you tuned in tonight to The Entrepreneur. Welcome to the show. My name is Paul K. Mwaura. Being recognized as a top entrepreneur in the country must have a great feel to it. Just imagine hearing your company called as a Company of the Year. Our first guest tonight knows this feeling too well. She was the overall winner of the Kenya Top 100 Medium-Sized Companies survey in 2010. I'm talking about Joanne Mwangi, and here she is. Hi, Joanne.
Hi, nice
How
to
are
meet
you
you.
today?
Very well, thank you.
Okay,
Welcome to Professional Marketing.
Thank you. And it's great to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. So how did it feel to come up on the top at that time? Could you describe to us the emotions, and what you're thinking at that time?
It was actually an absolutely fantastic time. I felt like it was the opportunity to be recognized as an entrepreneur. And for entrepreneurs, there's never anybody to recognize you because you're just working. So it felt fantastic that my team's effort and my effort had resulted in something that can be recognized and that can be seen as special for Kenya and turning professional marketing services into a role model for other practitioners in marketing.
Good to know that. Take us back to the beginning. How did it all begin?
Oh, it's a long way off. Professional Marketing Services, which now is known as PMS Group, started as a one-man show. I used to be the one person who was doing everything. Well, the woman manning the office.
I get it.
So it is a one-person organization and has now grown to have more than 500 members of staff. We started off in a one-room office, which was formerly a classroom. And from there, with our first client, within the first 2 years, we're already operating in Nairobi and also in Kampala for some of the top-notch companies such as EABL, BAT, who at that time were doing a lot of communication work. It has been a long journey. It's now almost 17 years. And so we've seen a lot of growth. Fantastic.
Now, capital is a major challenge to entrepreneurs when they are starting up. So how would you say, how did you get to start up when it was that one-man show thing?
It was extremely difficult. You get very broke as an entrepreneur. And at that time, the financial services, the formal financial services really can't give you money because you're not creditworthy. You have to build up your creditworthiness. So I relied very much on my savings and then also borrowing from friends and relatives. Sometimes you say that you borrowed from the people who are foolish enough to lend you money because you definitely weren't creditworthy.
An award by any measure is a sign of excellence. It is an acknowledgement that peers and professionals alike agree that a certain brand or company excels in what they do.
I just see myself as just an ordinary woman.
Not just ordinary.
But when I look at the accolades, then I can say that the one thing it calls for is first and foremost still to retain your feet on the ground, to remain humble, and to see things from the perspective of every other person, because ultimately the success that has come to professional marketing services has been as a result of the effort of every person who has walked through their doors. It is not my work, it is just all of us collectively. So maybe what I would say has been the greatest gain is being able to put together the team and bring the synergies together to create something beautiful. And maybe that is one of the things I'm gifted with. The other one I would say is hard work. For many years, I was always in the office before 7 a.m. and left after 8 p.m. It is only recently that now I can kind of take a step back and, we've got a fantastic team that can run the show, so I don't have to work as hard as I did.
Joanne is a force to reckon with. In addition to various accolades achieved, she also won the Global Award for the Organization of Women International Trade, which had 86 countries participating, and yet she emerged tops.
I like to see myself as a business person who happens to be a woman, as opposed to seeing myself as a woman who is in business. So a lot of the time for me, I like to challenge my fellow women that we need to step up and be the role models that the young girls can see, because I think what we needed most is somebody to look up to. And I was lucky that I had people to look up to and who motivated me to be the best that I could be.
There are other different companies in this kind of trade, in this kind of industry. So what keeps and what puts PMS ahead of the game? What did you say about that?
We hire people, we train them, because it is not easy for some to just walk in and be fine. We train them, and after we train them, we allow them the wings to fly. There's a lot of individuality at PMS. There's a lot of freedom for people to work with minimum supervision, and that means that people are able to be innovators and to do things differently. Yes. These are some of the clients that we work for.
Joanne Mwangi has worked with a vast number of well-known brands and companies within the country.
Thank you very much.
Before we continue, I'd like to just say thank you so much for giving me a glass of juice.
You're welcome, Paul.
I think you knew I needed it. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Paul.
All right. So as we continue, I wanted to know, what were your bad times, in your career when things didn't go the way you expected them to go, when probably you lost friends or things just went berserk, and how did you soldier on?
When I look back and think of what was the hardest time completely, it was maybe 3 years into the business. And I was used to being broke by then. I mean, it becomes normal for you to be broke. You learn how to cut corners in every way. But one of the things I hadn't done is that I had not learned that it is necessary for somebody to meet all statutory requirements. And so when the taxman came calling, I was caught unawares that I was even supposed to have been paying certain taxes. And so I was hit with a very huge bill, and it was extremely distressful for me. However, I learned that the best thing to go about it is to seek a professional. So I got a tax consultant who showed me how to respond to the KRA and showed me how to structure the payments so that I didn't have to pay it all in one lump sum. And the biggest lesson for me is that at all times, you must always comply with the law of the land. Today, people see entrepreneurship as the way to go, and everybody is looking up to entrepreneurs. At that time, entrepreneurs were the guys who had failed in life. So that made it very difficult for me because my phone stopped ringing. We didn't have mobile phones, so I used to pick up my handset, the fixed line, to check whether it's still working because nobody's calling. And when things changed and suddenly I was back to being all right, I wasn't as broke as I was before, people come back. But then you learn the value of true friendships because they're those friends who stick with you. My family went through some rough times because clearly, when you're looking for income and it's not coming, it means that you have to cut corners everywhere. Even at home, you learn to budget and eat ugali and sukuma wiki all the time. You walk, no new presents, no birthday parties, nothing like that. But I say that for an entrepreneur, you must go through those rough times at that time, because then later on, you have the opportunity to enjoy the kind of benefits that few people do. Because when you run your own business, obviously, there are benefits that come with that of, if nothing else, just the satisfaction of knowing that it worked. Okay, even your hairstyle.
Even those flying high are faced with challenges.
Right now, I find that there's still a lot of challenges. The major challenge is that as the business grows, so does your workforce. So suddenly, whereas you are dealing with 2, 3, 5 people who you know each other intimately, you understand each other very well, you're dealing with a huge number. When you're dealing with staff numbers on a day-to-day basis, 50 people, it's very difficult to build proper relationships with each individual, to nurture them, to grow them, and to identify their talents and make the best of them. And so you find that if you don't focus on that and actually create a HR department that is thinking nothing else except your staff development plans, then you can lose some of your best people. The other thing that comes is with the growth, comes also geographical growth. So we've got operations all over the place. So suddenly you find that the demands on your time are higher because you're trying to deal with people in Uganda, in Rwanda, in Tanzania, in Kenya, and every crisis, in as much as it doesn't all escalate to you, is something that must be flagged to you. So the workload increases, and if you don't learn how to delegate effectively, it can be extremely daunting.
As human beings, truth be told, we all have our fears. Now, as Joanne, what has been your greatest fears in your career?
I think career-wise, I was always very fearless. I'm a very, very aggressive person, and I really go for what I want. So I was never held back really by fear, because most people are held back by the fear of failure. Personally, I started by believing that I won't fail. And so I went for it, and failure was not an option. However, I find that now where I am at, I fear only one thing. I fear the loss of the company's reputation and momentum, because it has taken so much to grow it to this level, and it has created people within the organization, including myself, to be role models to others. I would hate to imagine that we take that away from our youth, because I think it is so important for Kenya's young people to see that Kenyan homegrown enterprises can grow, can become sustainable, and can even outlive their founders. So for me, my greatest fear is not to succeed in providing that model.
So, and what would you say is that, what are you doing to curb the fears?
So what I do is that to mitigate against that fear is that first and foremost, I hire only the best people. As I said earlier, at PMS, I would rather have the very, very best people, train them and invest in them heavily. When somebody joins PMS, we don't take chances that you're here, maybe you'll be leaving. We treat you as a member of the family. And as a member of the family, there's never a goodbye. Even when my people leave, they're still PMS people. I can still call on them, they can still call on me. And that means that culture ensures that a lot of people give their best to the organization.
Since winning the Top Lady Entrepreneur back in 2010, she still remains the only woman who has ever held this position in the Top Mid-Sized Companies Award.
I read a lot. I like reading business publications, international publications as well as local publications. I also love surfing the net for research so that I'm understanding what are the newest trends in my industry at all times. Secondly, I try very hard to be a good listener. I have a very young, dynamic team. These are the people who own the world right now. So I listen to them and the trends that they're proposing as the way forward. So sometimes we do things at PMS Group that I personally don't understand 100%, but my guys understand them. So we go ahead with them. So they teach me as we go along. And so that's one of the ways I have kept my knowledge base going. I also rely very much on people who are ahead of me, mentors, and also other leaders that I respect in the market. So I'll never hesitate to pick up the phone and ask for advice. So Paul, you can see these are the vans that we used to.
Transition Joanne says that the company is here to hit the 1 billion mark and gives it just 1 year to get to this target. The company has recently settled into their new offices at the Nairobi Showground.
It's one thing to be a brand, it's quite another to be a powerful brand. And all of us want to become a powerful brand. So what you do is that you focus on what product you're selling or service and make sure that you're the best in that. And then you can position yourself as the best in that industry, because everything communicates about your brand. From the colors you choose, from the words you use, from the place you are seen, that is all branding.
The sky is not the limit for Professional Marketing Services Group. Joanne's vision for the group is to branch out into other sectors which are different from marketing and could be anything from oil to gas, as she puts it.
No, we're just recording, you know.
But for now, the company will focus on what they do best.
Now, what advice would you give to somebody who wants to probably one day be recognized as a top entrepreneur?
The first thing I would tell them is to start a business in an area where there's a huge opportunity, not to go where everybody is going, which means they must be innovative. Secondly, to make sure that they're very good at what they do and that they are very focused and persistent. Because in the absence of focus and persistence, you'll give up quickly. And so you must continue until you get to the level where you actually become the best in your industry. That means a lot of resilience and also a lot of effort being put in to focus on the core goals that the company has. I don't think anybody should be in business simply to be recognized as the top 100. They should be in business to offer a service that will be so good that it will propel them to be at the top 100 and beyond. I'm thinking that Kenyan businesses need to be thinking of being the best in the whole wide world, not just in Kenya.
Worrying does not empty tomorrow of its troubles. It empties today of its strength. Corrie ten Boom. Lesson: identify what has been holding you back from your career success. Most likely, it's being worry and fear. The things you're afraid of are often the things most worth doing.
Always remember our social media pages, which are on your screen right now. On Facebook is KTN The Entrepreneur. On Twitter is KTN Entrepreneur. Our email is entrepreneur@standardmedia.co.ke. We take a short break and we have more in store for you, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to The Entrepreneur. One of the things that successful entrepreneurship brings is comfort. A comfortable lifestyle, a comfortable work schedule, and a pretty much comfortable everything. Just like the seat I'm sitting on and the many pieces of furniture around this showroom. Well, I'm here with Kevin Mureithi, the owner of Jabali Furniture, and he's going to tell us how he got to end up with all this. But first things first. Hello, Kevin.
Hi, Paul.
How are you?
Good, you?
It's good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let's start by probably getting to know the name of Jabali Furniture. How did you come up with this name, Jabali Furniture?
Yes, we wanted an African name, and we wanted something that shows what we want to build and how firm we want to do it. So we went with Jabali because it means rock, and that's how we came up with the name Jabali. A short name, a catchy name, and a good name.
Jabali Furniture stocks a wide range of home furnishings, from leather sofas, armchairs, coffee tables, office chairs, dining room sets, and even kids furniture. The store offers many options for its clients.
They are made from all kinds of different woods. For example, if you get it from Malaysia, you have Malaysian oak. For office, you'll make it from sometimes MDF or also hardwood.
Buying furniture is an investment, and whether you're buying furnishing for a first apartment or a second home, it is wise to seek out pieces that will last a lifetime, rather than spend money on pieces that will break or show wear after a few short years.
Our potential clientele is quite wide, from CEOs, but comes down all the way to middle income earners, because you have anything that ranges from as low as 5,000, as low as 15,000 for something like TV cabinet. So yes, our clientele is quite big because we want to get away from what competition has been doing, which is targeting the high-end market.
How did you come up to start this business?
I've never written a CV, so I've always known that I wanted to do business. Even when my peers were looking for businesses, sending CVs, doing whatever, I've never done that.
So how did you get to raise your own capital to start this business?
This is not my first business. I have been working since I was 23, I think. I've been always in business. So from one business has always helped me to open the next. It has always helped me to grow. So from one business, for example, before I opened this business, I was in taxi business. So that's where I made good money, and we opened. So with my contribution and his contribution, we were able to pull our resources together and went to the furniture business.
Getting into this business requires a certain amount of exposure and knowledge. You must have knowledge of suppliers, of fabrics and materials used, and the trends in the market.
Combination of both. It's a combination of experience of knowing how to run business as a whole, because I have a lot of experience over 5 years. Also knowing how you are going to. I travel a lot. Okay, when you go, for example, to the Malaysia, you meet different suppliers so that you see the designs that are coming up. You are able to stay on top of the trends. Also, visiting competitors. Also, these competitors, some of them we meet, we talk, we agree, and we see what's happening. Also, talking to clients themselves, which is most important, because you will know what a client wants. They tell you this is what we want, this is what we need, this is what we've been lacking. So this is a combination of all these factors.
Product knowledge forms the foundation of successful selling. Even in this business, Kevin tells us that there are few mistakes that he has made. It's not easy peasy.
Yes, some of the mistakes that I've done is maybe to trust people very fast. Some other mistakes that you find that maybe I've done is to get things, to not get commitment. You just take a word and you have not gotten in writing on commitment, something that you're able to show what has happened. So that's some of the mistakes that I would like people to stay away from.
If you're thinking about bringing goods or products from outside the country or sending goods or products to other countries, you need to know what procedures you have to follow and what charges and duties to be paid.
Just work with the names that may be a little bit trusted, if it's about maybe shipping agent, an agent that you know, or you get a referral from someone else, and you'll be okay.
Jabali Furniture's strategy to stay above competition is a pretty straightforward approach.
You know, some people just maybe sell furniture they take themselves as just sellers of furniture. As we take ourselves as providing service, we are able maybe to make sure that we deliver to clients for free anywhere in Kenya. All right, we give people warranty. We able maybe to give people installment plans, so you're able to pay with installments until you're comfortable with this one. Okay, so this is some of the ways that we make sure that we're on top of our competition, and we try to stand out and make sure that when you come to us, we give you a solution.
The home furnishing industry is a huge market. According to Kevin, growth in real estate directly affects growth in the furniture industry.
We started in 2012, so we've been in the process of growing and just establishing ourselves. And so I'm happy to say, like last year we did 15 million, but this year we are hoping to do 60 million.
A key question that all will-be entrepreneurs face is finding the business opportunity that is right for them.
Paul, I will tell them, first of all, not to panic, not to think it's very hard, and not to fear much. First of all, they need to maybe try and eliminate the fear of the money is going to get lost. The only thing I would maybe tell them to prepare for is maybe it's a little bit capital intensive. There is a lot of maybe also red tape because of maybe the importation, the clearing, the KRA and everything. And so they need to get their documents in order. For example, even in Kenya, if there are some documents, maybe operational licenses that you need to have, make sure you have those. But you do not need to fear or think that it's very hard.
The most important thing about running a company is to remember all the time what a company is. A company is simply a group of people, and as a leader of people, you have to be a great listener, you have to be a great motivator, you have to be very good at praising and looking for the best in people. You know, people are no different from flowers. If you water flowers, they flourish. If you praise people, they flourish, and that's a critical attribute of a leader.
As an entrepreneur, you're selling a lot. You will have to sell your ideas to your customers, to your investors, and your potential employees. You will constantly sell your leadership, your confidence, and your vision. Aside from these things, you'll have to sell your products and your services. How are you doing this? Think about it. In the meantime, get in touch with us on entrepreneur@standardmedia.co.ke and engage us on our social media pages, which are Facebook, KTN The Entrepreneur, Twitter, @KTN Entrepreneur. Let the conversation continue. From here, from the team, it's goodbye and good luck.